It's true that some things change as we get older. But if you're a woman over 40 and you're dealing with insomnia, brain fog, moodiness, and weight gain, you don't have to accept it as just another part of aging. And with MIDI Health, you can get help and stop pushing through it alone. The experts at MIDI understand that all these symptoms can be connected to the hormonal changes that happen around menopause, and MIDI can help you feel more like yourself again. Many healthcare providers aren't trained to treat or even recognize menopause symptoms. MIDI clinicians are menopause experts. They're dedicated to providing safe, effective, FDA-approved solutions for dozens of hormonal symptoms, not just hot flashes. Most importantly, they're covered by insurance. 91% of MIDI patients get relief from symptoms within just 2 months. You deserve to feel great. Book your virtual visit today at joinmidi.com. That's joinmidi.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Way podcast, where we learn in English poco a poco or podcast by podcast. Today, we're going to talk about Easter, meaning Pascua for Semana Santa, Holy Week. But not only the chocolate eggs and the Easter bunny, we're also going to look at the deeper story behind it. So, let's get started.
Bienvenido al podcast de The Way. Si quieres aprender inglés y hablar con confianza, estás en el sitio correcto. Hemos ayudado a miles de personas como tú a mejorar su inglés y alcanzar sus objetivos. Visita nuestra web theway.es para conocer más sobre nuestros cursos online desde A2 hasta C1 y descubre cómo podemos ayudarte a avanzar en tu aprendizaje. Además, si necesitas una certificación oficial, también ofrecemos la opción de realizar el examen Language Pair cómodamente desde casa.
Let's start with the origins. Where does Easter come from? Well, it's a holiday that has very old roots. Roots meaning raíces. It's actually a mix of pagan traditions with Christian beliefs. So long before Christianity, people celebrated the arrival of spring. You know, when you think about it, winter is cold and dark and quiet. Animals are hibernating. People stayed inside to survive the cold and the winter and the snow. So when spring came around, you know, it brought, what was the idiom that we used in the spring podcast? It brought the spring into their step, right? Flowers grew, animals have babies and communicate with each other. So there's a lot of noise a good noise, but noise in nature. The sun starts shining for longer and people wanted to celebrate, you know, the beginning of the end of winter. So in parts of Europe, there were spring festivals for a goddess called Istra, which is Anglo-Saxon. Some people also say Ustra. People also pronounce the goddess as Ostara now in modern times. But basically, Istra is the goddess of spring in paganism, and she's the beginning of the dawn, madrugada, and fertility, and everything that represents spring. And some people believe that the name Easter is from her, Easter, Istra. So this is the thing when it comes to Christianity, and obviously many religions as they develop over time. The Christian, let's say, head office, they wanted to bring in more people to into their religion. So they adopted a lot of pagan, let's say, traditions and activities to try and sway, meaning change the minds of the population. And some people believe that that's why Jesus is celebrated in this time, not specifically that he died on the cross in this time of like spring, but more of a symbolic meaning that, you know, Jesus died and came back to life, and, you know, winter's death and spring is renewal. So there's a lot of symbolism there. Anyway, if we had to talk about Istra, the goddess, her symbols were eggs, you know, eggs bringing new life, and rabbits or hares, hair, not hair as in pelo en la cabeza, hair as in a wild rabbit, H-A-R-E, not H-A-I-R. So rabbits and hares, they are known for having lots of babies, and it's a great way to celebrate fertility. So hares, rabbits is the Easter bunny, and eggs, meaning the chocolate eggs, all comes back to the goddess of spring. So before Easter was a Christian holiday, it was a celebration of nature and new beginnings. People would light fires, decorate eggs, and have feasts to welcome the spring. Feasts meaning a big party with dinner. Later, over time, we can see that Easter became a part of the Christian calendar. And if we have to connect Easter back to its origin of Christianity, according to Christian belief, Jesus Christ was crucified and came back to life 3 days later. This is called the resurrection in English. And Easter Sunday celebrates that moment and the most important holiday in Christianity. So there's a whole week. In Spanish, you call it Semana Santa. In English, Holy Week. But there are 4 main days in English that we refer to when it comes to Easter. We have Palm Sunday, Holy Thursday, Good Friday, and then Easter Sunday. And many of the oldest spring symbols like eggs and rabbits, these were kept and are now become a little bit more commercialized and added to the celebration of Easter over time, even though they don't appear actually in the Bible. So today, Easter is really a mix of these two things, ancient spring festivals and the Christian tradition. Right, so now let's look at some fun and interesting Easter traditions from different countries. In many places, people decorate Easter eggs. They paint them or color them with beautiful designs, sometimes with watercolor, sometimes with dye. Not dye as in murir, this dye meaning tinta with paint. Okay, the egg is generally considered to be a symbol of hope and renewal. Commercially, it's well known to have chocolate eggs and chocolate rabbits in the shops and stuff. But originally, it was the actual eggs, right? Let's go with Germany specifically. The tradition of the Easter Bunny actually began in Germany, a magical rabbit that was said to bring eggs to children who were good. I guess you could say it's like the Easter version of Santa Claus. And this idea later spread to the UK and the US and other countries, and now the Easter Bunny is internationally known. In America and in England, children often have Easter egg hunts. An Easter egg hunt is like a búsqueda, when you are looking for Easter eggs. And they search for these eggs in hidden places in the garden or in the park. And then they have a basket, una cesta, and they collect all the chocolates in this basket. And at the end, there's usually a lunch with the family, or the children get together and they sit down and eat all their chocolates, right? And it's usually eggs that are with chocolate, or sometimes maybe there's a gift or two. And very popular nowadays, which is seen on social media, is that people do like Easter baskets for family and friends, where they put little presents and chocolates and stuff, and they present them as gifts on Easter Sunday, which I think is pretty interesting. It's not something that is traditionally done. Let's go to Spain, however. And Easter is a very important week in Spain called Semana Santa, or Holy Week in English. There are big processions in the streets with music and candles and traditional clothes, right? They have these special hats in these processions that, if you're not from Spain or if you're not familiar with Spanish culture, they do seem a little bit weird, but I think they're so normalized in Spain. It's really a part of their culture, and it's a really beautiful thing to see these processions. There are people that are carrying the different, let's say, stages of the crucifixion, and there's the Virgin Mary and all these other statues, but it's a very big part of the Spanish culture, and it's something that's definitely, if you are thinking of coming to Spain to visit, to go on holiday, I definitely recommend coming during Semana Santa. And it's a very serious and powerful week to behold and be a part of and to participate in. One of the traditions I had never heard of before is coming from Australia. They don't have the Easter Bunny, they have the Easter Bilby. I was like, what's a bilby? So I actually Googled when I was doing research, and the bilby is a type of marsupial. Remember, a marsupial is like a koala or a kangaroo. When after they give birth, the baby stays in like a little pocket of the mommy, and they just are. The babies stay in the pocket until they are ready to come out. So the bilby is a little marsupial, the size of a rabbit. But why not a rabbit? technically, rabbits are a bit of an environmental problem in Australia, specifically because they breed so fast. So the people of Australia, I guess you could say, the population have decided that to focus on the bilby because it is a native animal and they want to support the natural and native wildlife of Australia. In Poland, however, on Easter Monday, they have a very interesting tradition called Śmigus Dingus. I hope I pronounced that right. People throw water on each other to have water fights. Now, if I'm not mistaken, it's more the boys that tend to throw water on the girls. But it's a fun thing, and I think it's a great way for everyone to get involved, even if it's still quite cold in Poland during the Easter holidays. But it's a great way to celebrate spring and happiness. So that's all the traditions that I have from around the world. If you are from a different country or specifically have a very interesting spring or Easter fact that you'd like to share with us, please contact us on social media. We would love to hear about it. In South Africa specifically, we don't have anything special. We do the Easter egg hunts. We go to church. Let's say, if I can say in comillas, like the normal Easter. But share with us if you have any interesting traditions of your own. So to finish off, I'm just going to remind you of some nice vocabulary to use for Easter, very similar to Spanish: fertility, resurrection, procession, tradition, celebrate. Let's break that down first, actually, because we have a lot of ion palabras, right? Resurrection, procession, tradition. Cuando tenemos tion o sion con T-I-O-N, no decimos tion, quita la O, decimos shin, right? So, resurrection, procession, tradition. But besides that, I think that the vocabulary for Easter is pretty easy. Pretty meaning bastante. So let's leave today's podcast with some writing practice, okay? Here's a question for you. How do you celebrate spring or Easter in your culture? Are there any special foods, traditions, or symbols that are important to you and your family? Remember that you can write this as a writing prompt to practice your writing in your writing book, in your practice book, or you can leave it as a comment on any of our social media. You can do it here on the podcast that you're listening to, or you could do it on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. You can also look at our website, www.theway.s. So if you want the transcript for today's podcast, you can find it on the website. Just click on the website, then go to blog. Our blogs and our podcasts are always together. So the blogs are always on Sundays, and usually our podcasts are on a Thursday. All right, so have a look at the website, theway.s, if you want to look at any courses that you want to start to improve your English. And you can also have private speaking classes, these master classes that we offer in English as well to improve your speaking. And don't forget that we now have a limited offer of a payment plan, as in puedes pagar poco a poco durante los meses, or you can pay all at once. Have a look to check what is the best financial option for you. Otherwise, everyone, I will see you next week. Bye and happy Easter.
Si disfrutaste de este episodio y quieres llevar tu inglés al siguiente nivel, te invitamos a descubrir nuestros cursos online en theway.es, diseñados para mejorar tu fluidez y confianza en situaciones reales. Hemos ayudado a miles de personas como tú a transformar su aprendizaje. Visita ahora theway.es y realiza nuestro test de nivel interactivo de manera gratuita. Además, si necesitas una certificación oficial, también ofrecemos la opción de realizar el examen de MITHER cómodamente desde casa.
It's true that some things change as we get older. But if you're a woman over 40 and you're dealing with insomnia, brain fog, moodiness, and weight gain, you don't have to accept it as just another part of aging. And with MIDI Health, you can get help and stop pushing through it alone. The experts at MIDI understand that all these symptoms can be connected to the hormonal changes that happen around menopause. And MIDI can help you feel more like yourself again. Many healthcare providers aren't trained to treat or even recognize menopause symptoms. MIDI clinicians are menopause experts. They're dedicated to providing safe, effective, FDA-approved solutions for dozens of hormonal symptoms, not just hot flashes. Most importantly, they're covered by insurance. 91% of MIDI patients get relief from symptoms within just 2 months. You deserve to feel great. Book your virtual visit today at joinmidi.com. That's joinmidi.com.